Hello students, how is everyone? So today in chemistry we are going to start with second lesson, that is chemical change and reaction. Now we know whenever energy is supplied or taken out of matter, it always brings about one or the other kind of change. For example, the heat energy of the sun causes evaporation of water. The water upon losing heat energy at higher altitude changes to cloud or snow. When current is passed through an electric bulb, its filament glows. The mercury soars quickly if not kept at low temperature. The wood on heating produces large amount of heat and leaves behind ash. All these examples which I spoke right now are the examples of change. We have in our lower classes learned about two types of changes. One is physical change and the second one is chemical change. Just to summarize, physical changes are those which can be reversed by reversing the condition. Chemical changes are those which cannot be reversed on reversing the condition. Please remember, you are now in higher science. Only some amount, some reactions are, some chemical reactions are reversible. Most of the chemical reactions are irreversible. More than 95% of reactions in chemistry are irreversible. Now, we are learning about chemical change. What actually a chemical change is? A change which alters the specific property of a material by bringing about a change in its molecular composition followed by a change in its state is called chemical change. For example, if I heat sugar, we know that the molecular formula of sugar is C6, sorry, it's C12H22O11. If I heat sugar, if you remember, if triangle is written on the arrow, it becomes heat. We'll get 12C plus 12H2O. It's 11H2O. You can see that the property of glucose is completely different from the property of carbon. Here, carbon is new product which is formed, and by withdrawing heat energy from carbon, you cannot convert carbon back to glucose. So, this is an example of chemical change. So, the first characteristics of a chemical change would be a chemical change result in the formation of at least one or more new products. In the example which we have observed right now, that is burning of sugar, the new products formed are carbon and water vapor. The second property of chemical changes, the weight of the substance undergoing chemical change usually changes. According to the law of conservation of mass, if you remember, the mass of the reactant should be mass of the product. But here we specify that the weight of substance undergoing chemical change usually changes. The reason is, like in the example which we did right now, which was of glucose, when you heat glucose, that is C12H22O11, on heating, you are getting 12 atoms of carbon but only 11 water molecule. The water molecule which is liberated in this particular reaction is in the form of vapor, and this vapor may escape the reacting mixture, and therefore the weight of the reactant will not be the same as the weight of the product in the container because water vapor will escape from the container. The third property is the chemical change is permanent and irreversible. What do I permanent and irreversible? Now here you are supplying heat energy to convert glucose to carbon and water. But if you withdraw heat from carbon and water, you cannot get glucose back. Therefore, the change is reversible. Now, the fourth property would be during chemical change, energy is either absorbed or given out. In this particular example which we took, here energy was supplied. And if you recall your 8th standard concept, we had done two types of reaction in 8th standard, that was exothermic changes and endothermic changes, or exothermic reaction and endothermic reaction. Now, what are endothermic reaction? When a change takes place with the absorption of heat energy, then the change is said to be endothermic. For example, when you are heating mercuric oxide like HgO, on heating will give the reaction will be balanced as 2Hg. Let me write down 2HGO on heating produces 2Hg plus O2. Now what is HGO? HGO is mercury oxide. Mercury oxide on heating produces mercury and oxygen. Here you are supplying heat energy. That means the reaction is absorbing heat energy. Therefore, it is endothermic change. Similarly, you can take the example of calcium carbonate, CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, on heating will give you calcium oxide plus oxygen. Here also you can see we are supplying heat energy to bring about a change. Now in this reaction, the amount of calcium carbonate will not be equal to amount of calcium oxide because the oxygen has escaped from the reaction mixture. Second type of change which we are discussing is exothermic change. Now when a chemical change takes place with the liberation of heat energy, the change is said to be exothermic. Like when you are burning a candle, it liberates heat and light energy. Similarly, when you are breathing, that is respiration, during respiration, the change is exothermic. When you breathe, oxidation of food takes place. You learned that in biology. That is in mitochondria. And a lot of heat energy is liberated. That's the reason the living things are warm blooded animals. Now, the some examples of chemical change are like burning of wood or charcoal. When you are burning wood or charcoal, you will get heat energy. Burning of candle, burning of magnesium in air, rusting of iron. All these are examples of chemical change. Now, there are certain examples wherein we can consider a change to be physical as well as chemical. The best example in chemistry about a change being both physical and chemical is burning of candle. When you start burning a candle, the solid wax starts getting converted into liquid wax. The conversion of solid wax into liquid wax is an example of physical change. And when this liquid wax starts burning in the wick of the candle, it is a chemical change. Because when you start burning wax in the wick of the candle, that is liquid wax, it gets converted to carbon. You cannot convert that carbon back to wax, but you can convert liquid wax to solid wax by freezing, and therefore this burning of candle is an example of physical change as well as chemical change. You can refer your textbook. You will have two or more examples there for a change being physical as well as chemical. Now let's move to the next part, which is really important for us for 9th standard as well as 10th standard. That is chemical reaction. Whenever a chemical change is represented in the form of a reaction or in the symbolic form, it is called as chemical reaction. Please remember, we have two types of reaction in our syllabus. One is word equation. For example, when I write sodium hydroxide reacts with hydrochloric acid, I may write it in the word form. Sodium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid gives you sodium chloride plus water. Here you can see I have written the entire reaction in the form of words. So this is called as word equation. When I write the same equation in the symbolic form, like NaOH plus HCl gives you NaCl plus water. I have represented the same equation in the symbolic form. Therefore, the symbolic form would be called as chemical reaction. Now, please remember, in a chemical reaction, if the number of atoms on the reactant side is not equal to the number of atoms on the product side, I believe students you remember the formulas of the compounds written on the right hand side of a reaction are the reactants, and the compounds written on the left hand side of the reaction are product. An arrow is drawn in between the reactant and the product to indicate that chemical change. And we are discussing if the number of atoms on the reactant side is not equal to the number of atoms on the product side, it is called as unbalanced chemical reaction. If the number of atoms on the reactant side is equal to the number of atoms on the product side, it is called as balanced chemical equation. Now you may have a doubt that why should we balance the equation? Why should the equation be always balanced? The reason is we have learned in 7th standard as well as in 8th standard law of conservation of mass or matter. Law of conservation of mass or matter states matter can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be transferred from one form to another. For example, when you were burning sugar, that is C12, S22, O11, on heating was producing 12C plus 11S2O. Now, here, if you find out the mass of glucose, that should be equal to the mass of carbon plus mass of water. That means when the masses are equal, it will indicate that matter is neither created nor destroyed, but it has changed its form from one form to the other form. Now, glucose is a different form, and carbon and water vapor is a different form of matter. Alright, so in your presentation, you can see chemical reactions are associated with chemical change. Rearrangement of atoms of a substance takes place. Now, what do you have in rearrangement? If you observe the previous example, we did NaOH plus HCl gives NaCl plus H2O. Now you can see N can come in place of H and H comes in place of Na. Now they are rearranging themselves to form a new product. Third thing is, whenever a chemical change occurs, chemical reactions tend to be taking place. And chemical reactions are usually irreversible and a new product is formed. You can look at the example which I taught you right now. NaCl is a salt, whereas NaOH is a base and HCl is an acid. When you are treating an acid with a base, it will be salt and water. Most of you are now able to recall these examples which I was giving you in 8th standard. Now, what are the signs of chemical reaction, or how can we physically observe that a chemical reaction has taken place? There are 5 basic indicators for a chemical change taking place. The first one is change of color. Now, this is really important because you have to remember the change of color of certain compounds because the question may be asked in the form of in a different form. I'll be teaching you those questions. There you'll understand what do I mean by what you have to remember the change of color. First one is change of color. Second one is evolution of gas. Third one is change in temperature. Fourth one is change in state. And fifth one is formation of precipitate. Now, these are the 5 basic indicators for a chemical reaction has taken place. We'll be doing each with the example. Now, as I taught you, what is word equation? A word equation describes chemical change using the name of the reactant and product. Like for example, the word equation of the reaction of methane gas with oxygen gas to form carbon dioxide water is written as methane, that is methane plus oxygen. There will be an arrow in between the reactant and the product, gives you carbon dioxide and water. Here methane and oxygen are the reactant and carbon dioxide and water are the product. If the same equation is written in the symbolic form, like here you can see CH4 plus O2 gives you CO2 plus water. Here you can see we have one carbon on the reactant side, one carbon on the product side. 4 hydrogen on the reactant side, 2 into 2, that is 4 hydrogen on the product side. 4 oxygen on the reactant side, 2 oxygen here and 2 oxygen here. 4 oxygen on the product side. Now this equation which you are observing is a balanced chemical equation on the screen. What is chemical equation? The simplest form of description of a chemical reaction in shorter form is by writing it in the form of an equation. Like when I say magnesium burns in air to produce magnesium oxide, I can write the same thing as symbolic form, that is Mg plus O2 gives you MgO. Whenever you're writing a chemical equation, please keep in mind that you have to write the reactants on the left hand side and the products on the right hand side. And the arrow has to be indicated in between the reactants and product. Some more information, you can also state the state of, or you can also write the state of a reactants and product. Like here you can write down magnesium is a solid, so you have to write down small s in the bracket. Now magnesium is solid, so you can write down small s in the bracket. If the reactant is liquid, you have to write down small l in the bracket. If the reactant is gas, you have to write down small g in the bracket. And if the reactant is an aqueous solution, now this word was new to you in A standard, but most of you are aware of this now. Whenever a solid or a gas is dissolved in water to make it reactive, that solution is called as aqueous solution. Like hydrogen chloride gas is dissolved in water to produce hydrochloric acid. So whenever I write down hydrochloric acid, I write down aqueous form because it is not liquid. It is the gas which is dissolved in water to make it reactive. So aqueous solution is when a solid or a gas is dissolved in water to prepare its solution so that it becomes reactive. It's called as aqueous solution. Furthermore, if a gas is evolved in a reaction, you have to indicate an up arrow. If a precipitate is formed in a reaction, you have to indicate a down arrow. This will make your information, or this will make your chemical equation more informative. If a catalyst is involved in a reaction, the catalyst should be written on the arrow. If the heat is applied or pressure is applied on the reaction, the information has to be written on the arrow. Let's take an example to understand this. N2 plus 3H2 double head arrow 2NH3. Here you can see I have the balance the equation. So this N2 will be gaseous, H2 will be gaseous, ammonia will also be gaseous. If I write down iron here on the arrow, that means iron is acting as a catalyst. And if I write down 500 degrees Celsius here below the arrow, that indicates I have supplied 500-degree heat to the reaction mixture and 200 atmosphere pressure. The information which are written on the arrow indicates that I have used the iron catalyst, I have supplied heat energy of 500 degrees Celsius, and I have supplied a pressure of 200 atmosphere for this reaction to take place. Also, I mentioned the state of the reactants and the products. Now, by looking at this reaction itself, you can come to know about more information because this is a complete balanced equation with all the information required to make the chemical equation meaningful. I hope students you are understanding. Now, why do we need to learn this chemical equation? Because the shortest form and the simplest way to represent a chemical change. You don't have to write down stories. Just by writing a chemical equation in 1 or 2 lines, you will come to know about the entire process taking place. When you will come to 10th standard, I'll be teaching you formation of ammonia as a part of your syllabus. They will come to know that this particular reaction is explained in 2 pages. Don't worry, all the information is embedded in this reaction. It is much easier to understand. So, guys, we have learned about the chemical equation. In the next lecture, we are going to proceed with different types of chemical reactions. We have done it lower class, we'll be doing with more examples and little more depth. The 5 types of reaction which we are going to cover in the next lecture would be combination reaction, decomposition reaction. In decomposition, there are 3 subtypes of decomposition reaction: thermal decomposition, electrolysis, and photolysis or photochemical change. Because photolysis is also known as photochemical change. Then we'll be doing displacement reaction, double displacement reaction. In double displacement reaction, we have 2 types. One is neutralization and second one is precipitation. Then at the end, we'll be doing redox reaction. Redox reaction is again divided into 2 categories: oxidation and reduction. I hope that everyone is doing well at home. Please keep in touch with your studies. After every lecture of mine, at least, go through your textbook, underline the hard words, and in case of doubts, let me know. I hope that everything is clear. In the next lecture, we'll proceed and do the remaining part of the lesson. Whatever homework is given to you, you have to write those homeworks in your notebook. Stay home, stay safe, and help your parents. Thank you, students.